The notorious Emoluments Clause. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. He gets a salary, and that's it. This has broadly been taken, and I would have to look at the next slide to know if we're, definite on this, but it's broadly been taken to mean he shouldn't be receiving any compensation other than what he gets as president. He shouldn't hold another job. Jimmy Carter sold his peanut farm. He shouldn't be beholden to anything but the job of being president.
I think that was a major thing of the future president, former president.
It was. It was. Because, I'm not saying he was taking direct bribes, mostly because anybody who wanted to bribe him was smarter than that. But, for example, there's a reason that the family is no longer allowed to run a charity in New York State. And it was an open secret that the way to get the family's attention was to rent a lot of rooms in one of their hotels. And they were charging the Secret Service for renting rooms in the hotels, which is that's shady. That's not okay. So in theory, the president should solely be getting the money he gets for being president.
And did they get paid after they retired too? Still,
they do now. They didn't used to, but Ulysses S. Grant died practically broke. The only reason he had any money at all was that Mark Twain got him a contract to write his autobiography, which he did because he didn't want to leave his wife and children utterly destitute. And that happened to more than one president and to their families.
I have no idea if I heard that, because it got disconnected for a second. I heard you're talking about Ulysses S. Grant, then my audio went out.
Oh, okay. Ulysses S. Grant died almost destitute. The only reason he had any money at all was that Mark Twain got him a contract to publish his autobiography and helped him write it before he died. There were several presidential widows who had similar problems. I believe Dolly Madison actually died broke. Thomas Jefferson was terrible at finances. He sold his entire library to Congress to pay his debts and then started buying more books. Thomas Jefferson was a mess. But for a very, very long time, after you were in office, you were on your own. And I think the presidential pension was established in the 20th century. Like, that's on my I'd have to look it up list. But presidents didn't get a pension for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I know people who want Congress and the president to take a pay cut. And it is true that they get paid, I mean, a lot more than the average person. But it's also true that almost all presidents would have done better in private industry. Grant is one of the few who wouldn't, because Grant failed at everything except being a general. With all the love in my heart for the man, he also failed at being president. He was a terrible president. But the biggest problem was that he trusted the wrong people. So,
is that similar or different than the Harding one?
I mean, the Harding administration was not as much close personal friends of the president. Grant, it was his friends, and his friends turned out to be ridiculously corrupt. Harding, it was a corrupt era. If you ever watched the documentary The Celluloid Closet, and I've told this story before, Gore Vidal refers to Hayes as one of the rare unindicted members of the Harding cabinet. Grant was trusting. Grant believed that if you were a friend of his, then there couldn't be anything really bad about you. And Grant was proven wrong quite a lot. I actually feel really bad for him. It's also part of why he died broke, because his friends would take his money for investments and lose it and go, whoopsie! So, Grant would not have done better. He would today, because he would have gotten speaking arrangements. Some think tank would have paid to just have his name on their letterhead, what have you. But a lot of presidents could have made more money as lawyers, as executives. Franklin Roosevelt didn't need the money. Franklin Roosevelt was independently wealthy. But paying less will make the office more the province of the ultra wealthy, in my opinion. Because only they will be able to afford it. Even now, you have to be rich to run for office. But if we lowered the salaries, who could afford to be in Congress or to be president?
All right, so basically, you get paid for being president, but you can't get any more pay than that.
Right.
I need a presidential pay raise right now.
I mean,
did by the way, did Trump get a pay cut and become president?
I mean, sort of. He gets paid less to be president than he got paid for being on The Apprentice. But he's grifting like hell.
Mm-hmm.
He's selling a lot of merchandise, and his properties do well because, again, the lobbyists know that that's a way to get his attention. And on a personal level, yes. On an overall level, not as much as you might think.